So Classic Physique has blown up over the last few years. You see it on Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. And thousands of lads every year, they say about competing. And gyms I've been in, lads talk about it, never do it. You know, I'm at the point now where I've just turned 30. And I'm like, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. And in terms of where I'm at the moment, I feel very positive. At the time of filming this, I'm 101 days out. So that is where we're at. And as a former fat bastard, I'm hoping my story helps inspire others along the way. So if you're new at the channel, my name's Conrad, known on here as Coach Con. That was something that I picked up right back when I first ever started PTing. I'm an online fitness coach. I used to be overweight. I very much hated how I looked. I'd struggled a lot with confidence at different points, anxiety, mental health. And used to hide in sort of bits of jackets and baggier clothes, that kind of thing, and just tried to think that, oh, I'll never be the guy who has abs. I'll never be, you know, a guy who is prepping for a show. And for a long time, I kind of told myself, oh, one day I'll change. One day I'll be more consistent. I'll wait until I'm motivated. And it wasn't until I fully chucked myself into being PT 4 or 5 years ago that I really did fully lock in, so to speak. And there's been some ups and downs since, you know, but I've never fully gone back to, of course, square one, which is good. And the title of this video is something that I realised, you know, no one is coming to save you, and that is slightly uncomfortable, but I think it can also be quite liberating as well once you realise that it is on you to change. It's down to you. You can't blame bad genetics and that kind of thing like I did. You can't say, oh, you know, it's because I've got a slow metabolism or I've got a thyroid problem. You know, it's very, very unlikely that you've got those things wrong with you. So I've committed. The show's booked. It's been booked since about mid-November and slowly been chipping away to get to where I am at the moment. And I think a lot of people just think prep is just sort of eating chicken and rice and being boring. And to be fair, there is a lot of that as well. But the real challenge is everything else. You know, I run an online coaching business. I also work in another gym still a couple of days a week because I actually just enjoy it. Of course, I'm looking after multiple clients, everything that comes with that, you know, full job. I still do a little bit of in-person PT, just with clients that I've mostly had for a long time. And it's a thing of like waking up early when you're tired, getting your steps in when you don't feel like it, prepping your meals, even getting your pre-workout drinks and stuff like that ready the night before as well. The little things where you'd rather be watching the telly, you sort of spend these extra 10, 15, 20 minutes doing these bits of things, these bits of, you know, preps that go into the overall prep, if that makes sense. And you kind of haven't eat on plan when everyone else is, you know, ordering Domino's and everything else. You can't go out for food. You can, but of course, the thing is, if you end up placing third, you might think, well, if I hadn't gone out for this takeaway, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't eaten this off plan, if I hadn't done that, maybe I'd have placed higher, you know. And if it gets to your peak week and you're trying to save it, like I've seen before, a lot of people I know that's competed and they get to peak week and they just completely crap themselves, for one for a better phrase, and they're trying to save it. They're trying to go, like, just starve themselves for the week in the hope of dropping body fat with cardio super high. It's not a good thing to be doing. So that is where we're at. Of course, the training, as you've seen, the bits I've tried to share on the shorts, the bit I've shared on my Instagram at Ashton Online Coaching, if you're not following already. That is like, that has to be done. You know, there's not a lot of motivation some mornings. You know, I've had to train, depending on my days, particularly the week when I did some extras work where I was needing to train at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which isn't my thing at all. But I had a call time for 6:45, so I had to get in, I had to get things done. I have just eaten, so bear with me. But you know, some days I do feel really good. Some days, like the day I have felt flat, I have had to take it a little bit easier today while still getting work done. I promised myself I was going to do this video and continue with the YouTube. I've been trying to optimise that a little bit more, just to try and get a few more views, try and reach a few more people, hopefully help a few more people as well. And it's just staying the same. It's being consistent. That's a word I'll use quite a lot. Probably annoys a few people hearing that word all the time, but that is what it all comes down to. It's getting your steps done every day. It's your meals. It's your bedtimes. It's taking your supplements. It's racking everything up. That's is ultimately what's going to move us forward. So right now, in terms of training, I am legs, push, pull, rest, push, pull. So my push and pull sessions do vary a little bit. I add in a little bit of calves on that second pull day. And in terms of the work I do, it's primarily upper chest on my first push day, and then the second push day is like still a good focus on upper, but a couple extra isolation movements in there as well. Legs, it's not for me a weak body part. I need to bring up my hamstrings a touch, but I think the leaner I get and the more condition comes through, I don't think that is going to be an issue. And I think the more I practice pausing and doing them pausing rounds and the execution of that is going to also help how it looks on the big day. So I'm not worried as such about legs. I am fortunate there. It's just refinement, in this period now, 14 weeks out, calories aren't super low, but they're not really at a point where I'm going to gain any significant muscle, if any. So calories are controlled, let's say that. Protein is very high, and steps are sitting around 10. They sometimes get more towards 12,000 a day. The target is 10, but of course life happens, and sometimes you end up doing a little bit more. So cardio is 5 days a week on top of training. That is currently at 40 minutes, 5 days a week. My choice at the moment is an incline treadmill. I was really hammering the bike. But I just think in terms of recovery, now food is going to start getting chopped a little bit. Of course, when you're taking, your fat burners as well, central nervous system's compromised a little bit, recovery and sleep could potentially be impeded depending how you react to certain things as well. So, yeah, it's nothing fancy. It's just essentially means I'm hitting 14,000 steps a day, but over 4,000 of them is like zone 2 bordering into like zone 3 cardio. So, it's not comfortable to talk. It's not a comfortable walking pace that I could sustain for more than 60 minutes. Let's just say that, The main thing as well, alongside consistency, it's fair to say there's a lot of structure goes into this. So the hardest part isn't physical, it's mental. So today, I'm very lucky today. All I've got left is one PT night with one of my clients at 5 o'clock. So it's currently 4:10. So I need to think about wrapping this up. And it's just things like your brain fog. And I'll level with you. I have a little bit of a caffeine dependency. I've had 4 small Red Bulls today. 100 milligram of caffeine in half a scoop of tank mode pre-workout as well. And I'm still wrecked. But this is like, I'm trying to take, it sounds probably a little bit stupid, but I'm trying to take a little bit of pleasure in it. This is like the thing that I've chosen to do. I'm choosing to feel this way because I want to look a certain way when I get on stage, And I don't want to use the word sacrifice, but every day that I wake up, my first thought is like, I can't be arsed. The old me creeps in, where it's like, oh, I'll just have another hour. I'll roll over in bed, I'll have another hour. I don't have to get up yet. But once you get things in place, you give yourself the accountability. Maybe you're documenting like I am. You're building your content around it like I am. You're trying to inspire others. You're kind of using your former self as your ideal person you want to help. So for me, I'm trying to think, what would I have wanted to have seen at 20 stone? Who would I want to have seen? That's the kind of thing that I've got in my mind when I make these things, and I'm just trying to be honest and be myself. I don't want to do cinematic videos. One, I'm not clever enough to edit them. Secondly, I want something honest. I want, the content that I enjoy. It's like Joe Richardson's very, very good at this. Sam Solik, I watch a little bit of him. Again, it's just honest. It's direct the camera. It's not trying to be flashy and cinematic, and that's not me at all. Something I'll share as well is a few times throughout this has been the thing of like, am I good enough? Am I going to place? What's going to happen? And I don't want to say people fill your head full of fairies, but when people are saying, "Oh, you're looking good and you're going to be ready early," and it's great to hear that it's not slate, but when people are saying, you know, the universe is a week later, you could qualify for that, you know, and someone the other week very kindly said, you know, I qualified for the British Championships in my first time a show, and your head gets turned a little bit. You start planning ahead, you start overthinking, then you start thinking, well, you know, who am I going to come up against? You know, when updates are getting shared on Instagram, on say Quarter Turn Media or the PCA page, you're looking these people up, you're like, I hope he's not in my class, I hope this person isn't doing this, you know, and it does get, it's the mental battle. And when you're on your own, that is a lot of the time what happens. I mean, because you don't like to pester people, you don't want to ring your mates up all the time, you don't want to be just ringing, you know, I've got Kyle Bacon looking after me, who's essentially coaching us at the moment, and like, you don't want to be pestering him every 2 minutes, you know, for the slightest little thing. But it is just trying to enjoy it and realising I've chose to do this. I'm hoping to inspire folks along the way. You know, something that does get to me as well is like, I'm doing all this dieting at the moment. Yes, the body fat's dropping, but I'm not stage ready. And I know in theory that won't come until 3 and 4 weeks away if I am going to be ready early, which is the aim. But it does mess with your head. You're thinking, I'm doing all this hard work. I'm not eating out. I'm not doing this, not doing that. I'm not stage lean. I'm not stage ready. You know, and it plays with you, messes with your head, and it's hard. You know, and that it's a mental battle. The way I've described it to people, particularly for folks who maybe don't get it, like my mum, bless her, who's like, but she doesn't quite understand it, follow it. It is like a job. This, you know, bodybuilding is 24/7. Like, you're thinking about your meals, you're thinking about your next meal, you're thinking about your meal prep. Yes, a lot of the thinking's stuck out of it if you're following the set meals and so on, but you're thinking about meal times, you're thinking, am I hungry, when will I be hungry, you know. You're thinking about cardio, even like the steps, you're sort of doing the maths thinking, well, you know, if I go on Samson Health and I've done 4,500 steps and my watch is logged that, I know I need to minus that off whatever I've done anyway to then still be getting my 10,000 at the end of the day, if that makes sense. So the watch might say 14,500. You know what I mean? It's just them little mental things that creep in to make sure that you've not got a box unticked, as daft as that can sound. And of course, there is the thing that's sent my head out. I know fine well there's a couple of people that look me up on Instagram, because I can see them on my stories, I see them on my Facebook as well. And you know that they keep an eye on you. They want to see you mess up. They want to see you drop out. They want to be passing comments to the friends around certain little communities at certain gyms. You know, they'll know what I'm talking about. And, you know, it's that thing of they're going to be passing comment, they're going to be having a look, they're going to be wanting to put you down, and that's something that I just use to fuel me. But at the same time, it does still cross your mind, you do still think about it. Options really with all this were just to stay as I was, which was, you know, at times a fairly decent physique. I did a photo shoot in June and didn't look so bad. But option 2 is do it properly, you know, get on the stage, get yourself in the best condition you can ever get into that top 1% of physiques that people can hope of achieving, to try and inspire people from where I've come from. And that's the idea with all this. Much as I want to win this thing, particularly the first time, as, you know, if I qualify for the Universe, the British or whatever invites I get, if any, that's all a bonus. But at the same time, it's proving to my former self what's possible. It's showing other people what's possible, what you can do when you put your mind to it. It's not about getting the trophy, it's about becoming someone who keeps the word to themselves and other people, backing themselves by putting all this content out, probably chatting a lot of shit on Instagram as well, on stories and stuff like that. It's backing all that up. That is the important bit. That's what is going to see me through with all this. You're on your own journey. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you're working towards, how that's going. Obviously, if you need a hand, drop me a line on Instagram at Ashton Online Coaching. Do realise no one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself. Okay, so it is Saturday night as I'm just editing this video, clipping it together. And basically, I've kind of changed the format a little bit with these videos. So it's now going to be a series. I know a couple of you guys have been like following on the 16 weeks, the 15 weeks. So the way I was filming that was a little bit like a daily vlog type thing.
Probably I'm still going to do a little bit of that and drop that into the main video where I'm sat on the couch talking. But just for this, I am just going to drop in some clips that are already being filmed before I kind of change this new format. So thank you very much for watching. If you got this far, if you want to watch almost like a bit of a behind the scenes type thing, I am dropping those on now. It's covering the week. So I think there's one for Monday and a couple for Wednesday. So I'm going to get those in now. And yeah, feeling good. Drop the recent check-in photos on that video, and appreciate you following, commenting, anything like that, and I'll do you proud. So Wednesday, 101 days out. I think again I've said it millions of times, but just the hardest thing in the morning is just getting up and getting out of bed. Once I'm out, absolutely fine into the day, no problem. So little exciting update. Spoke to the Chronicle yesterday, Newcastle Chronicle. So what's going into that is going to be the story about doing the show, or potentially shows if I qualify for the Universe as well the week later, and yeah, and then going into the ultra marathon, doing a bit of fundraising for the Mind mental health charity, which is what I was wanting to do. So that's good, that's exciting, nice to be getting the word out and hopefully raising a few quid. And yeah, so what was I going to say? That's pretty much it. Scale is staying the same again. It's like 84.4 this morning, so it's just kind of bounced anywhere from like 84.2 to like 0.3, 0.4, then the top end of like 84. So it is a bit annoying, it does mess with your head, but as we say, like, we're not chasing scale, we're chasing a look. That seems to be improving all the time, even just in passing. I'm kind of noticing just little things here and there. In terms of tiredness, fatigue, energy, it's just the thing that would be happening anywhere, where if I'm not getting enough sleep, that's going to happen, that's going to be a thing. So like yesterday was just a very caffeine based day, and I had like 100mg modafinil as well, which is not really a tool I like to use because you can become dependent on it. Not that I've been in the past, I've just been able to stop it, but when you know you've got shit to get done, it can be a little bit of a crux, I know, for some people. So I don't really want to be popping them all the time, but it worked. But yeah, yesterday, very caffeine dependent, heavy day, not really pleased with it. 100mg in my pre-workout, so I've been having, so I'll quickly run you through my supplements as well that I've been having. So that has been pre-workout, half a scoop of engineered muscle tank mode, full scoop of engineered muscled turbo pump, and then that has obviously got a little bit of caffeine in. I'd had a big Red Bull, I'd had 2 small Red Bulls and a modafinil, so obviously all sugar free, and the engineered is not made with any sort of fillers or artificial rubbish or anything like that. That's why it doesn't taste particularly good. But yeah, so there's that. And then supplementation, I will just drop the pictures on the screen and just kind of talk through them, so brace yourselves. So it is Wednesday afternoon and just trying to get a bit of work done. I've had this a couple of times now in prep, and I haven't really thought much of it, but it is just the thing of like the energy, like the ups and downs. Like I've had pre-workout, I've had caffeine, had a really good night's sleep. I used engineered muscle turbo dreams, actually took a full serving, which was beneficial. But I have just had to not come to bed as such because I am still on the laptop. I'm still grafting here content, YouTube, looking into vidIQ to try and optimize the channel a little bit, which is a little bit of a, does mess with your head a little bit, you know, are you doing right, wrong, so on. But honestly, just the energy levels sometimes just go, and they shouldn't really. you know, in a way this far out, you know, 14 weeks. But I've really been prepping a lot longer than this, you know. The idea to potentially think about doing this was back in September. So to be now like into this part, you know, technically I've already been prepping 10 weeks anyway. So yeah, it is just the energy sort of gets us down a bit. And I was talking with my friends this morning, and I was just saying there, like, just sometimes it's not the fact that I'm obviously going to pack this in or anything, but it's just the way your head goes sometimes, and the tiredness, and just at random, just energy goes, and you so up and down. And it's not that I'm unpredictable with my mood, you know, in the sense of like in a bad way that's like aggression or negativity. It's just you just get a little bit just a touch down. It messes with you, and I don't like fail like this, and I don't feel there's a right to fail like this in a way at 14 weeks out, you know, and because it will get worse from here. But yeah, I just kind of want to share that. Obviously, I was on, you know, the previous part of this video. I was out getting the steps this morning, first thing in the morning, and I was pretty good. I've trained well, you know, trained with Bill. He's been great in the gym. Got a couple of pictures done for the Newcastle Chronicle. I think I mentioned that in the last little bit. The covering the ultra marathon and that kind of thing that I'm doing. So that's good to cover the journey. But yeah, it is. It's just I am just knacked now, and this won't shift probably the rest of the day. So it might be time for a little Red Bull, another one, which is 3:05, which is not the best, but I've got work to get done. I've got jobs to get done. So yeah. So just me again. It's just 2 clips from Wednesday. That's all I filmed, as I had been thinking about this new strategy of the way I'm filming it. So rather than doing little bits days at a time, try and like do one main video and then clip some bits around it. So yeah, that's that. Hope you enjoyed it. I do try and put some effort into these things, and we're feeling good. 14 weeks. Oh, fucking cramp off. Ow. Never mind. That's the clen. That's what happens when you bump it 80 microgram. Bastard. Anyway, big love everyone. Happy Saturday.